and that's good. All right. As my staff recommends, I would suggest that I'd like well, first of all, let me just note this for the record. Our subcommittee focuses on Europe and Asia, essentially Central Asia, but it also, in its definition, talks about emerging threats. That's why we are here today. This is part of a discussion on what some of us believe is an emerging threat to the peace of the world and the security, thus the security of the United States of America. And from the witnesses today, I would say that we do have one voice of disagreement, and we will get into that discussion, and we're very happy to have you with us to promote that type of discussion, because of course in countries like China, they don't have people on the other side of issues when they're being discussed, than the other side of issues that the state has taken a stand on. I'd like to ask the panel very quickly if you might mention any specific weapon systems that China is building that threatens America's naval or air or space assets. And maybe just go down the line just very quickly. Dr. Pickert, can you think of a weapon system that they are developing that you might warn us against?
I think specifically the sea power aspect is under the envelope of strategic conventional weapons, and the east wind system of these are essentially huge Scud missiles that can operate on from the bases in China to essentially any of these things which are being disputed can be blown off the face of the earth without even leaving China. So
are they accurate enough to be?
They don't have to be accurate. You just shoot 20 of them and they will knock off a whole corner of the universe. I don't know if you've ever seen an arc light strike by B-52s. They take out a whole grid square of a territory. This is a Scud tactic. It's using mass attack on a particular place, and you have 20 missiles all shooting at the same thing. And these islands are in specific areas where you try to have naval forces are simply deterred from using that space. If it escalates to anything below local conflict, and the trouble with each of these areas is they cannot be held as territory because they can be obliterated.
Mr. Fisher?
Mr. Chairman, I would call to your attention the system of weapons that the Chinese are developing and beginning to deploy, starting with a dual-use space program, both manned and unmanned, that provides targeting and communications and data links for missiles like the anti-ship ballistic missile, new supersonic anti-ship missiles that are being carried today by Chinese bombers, future hypersonic anti-ship missiles, not to mention what they'll be putting on their aircraft carrier. As soon as that starts service in about 2 to 3 years, it will have a fighter that is about as good as our F-18 Super Hornet. Submarines are being built like dumplings, and they're good, and they have air-independent propulsion so that they can stay underwater for a long time. This is just what's going to be hitting us in Asia. In the next decade, China will have the wherewithal to project force around the world, both mechanized airborne and mechanized amphibious infantry supported by aircraft carriers, and an even more robust space architecture.
Mr. Mosier?
Well, I believe Mr. Fisher has hit on the key points here, and I would just say that China has rapidly upgraded the capabilities of its Navy, and it has now a Navy, the largest force of major combatant submarines and amphibious warfare ships in Asia, and many of them are first rate. China is constructing its own GPS satellite network. It has a ground launch anti-satellite capability capable of taking out our communication satellites, and is developing a space plane, the Shenlong, which may have military capabilities.
Oh, here's your chance.
Sure.
Are these not a threat,
Well, I think they've been
Dr.
fairly
Thomas?
comprehensive. I think the big concern is the sort of, as I noted, the guided missile destroyers in terms of how that would impact U.S. Navy operations, particularly if you're providing support, whether they could take out aircraft carriers. That's something that seems to be developing or being developed. How close to production, I'm not entirely clear though.
Let me just note that one of the sad aspects of the answers that we just got is that the source of research and development for many of the weapon systems that you're talking about are the American taxpayers. I mean, does a panel or anyone in the panel doubt that many of the weapon systems that China is developing are based on information that they have stolen and hacked and gotten from American industry and sometimes actually stolen from our own government operations? Is there any doubt about that? Or would we comment on that? Yes, sir.
Acquisition of foreign technology is essential to the Chinese military research and development process. From the opening of our relations with China, Mr. Chairman, China has deployed tens of thousands of engineering students to the United States to study at our best schools, and largely for the purpose of taking that information and experience back to China to apply to weapons programs. I can offer numerous citations of experts that worked for NASA, went back to China, and are now helping to develop space planes which will be used for military purposes. When China was developing its current fourth-generation fighter, the J-10, it had to develop new composite materials for the airframe. It actually came to California and had those composites validated by an American company. Went back to China and put them into production. They work very fine. Thank you very much.
I think that says it all. Thank you very much, Mr. Keating.